If you blindly copied the perfect 3 ETF portfolios you see all over TikTok and YouTube, you might accidentally blow up your financial future like a cartoon bomb. Because here's the massive secret nobody tells you. The exact same portfolio that makes a 25-year-old a millionaire can completely bankrupt a 40-year-old parent. Today, we're not just throwing random stock tickers at you. We are building a portfolio from the ground up that actually fits your exact life, your timeline, and your location. Welcome back to Grow with Tony. If you are new here, I'm Tony, and my goal is to help you build real stress-free wealth. Quick reminder before we start, I am a guy on the internet, and this video is for educational purposes only. It is not personalized financial advice. Always do your own research. All right, let's get to work. Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Why ETFs? Why not just pick the next Apple, Tesla, or Nvidia and get rich quick? Here is the brutal truth. Picture a professional Wall Street fund manager in a $5,000 suit, sweating over 10 computer monitors, working 80 hours a week to pick the perfect stocks. Now picture a simple, boring index fund. Over a 15-year period, nearly 90% of those highly paid professionals lose to the boring index fund. If the pros can't do it, trying to pick winning stocks while you work a full-time job is a recipe for disaster. An ETF, or exchange-traded fund, is essentially a basket of hundreds or thousands of stocks. Instead of frantically searching for the golden needle in the haystack, you are just buying the entire haystack. And a 3 ETF portfolio is the ultimate, battle-tested version of this strategy. I want you to think of this portfolio exactly like building a vehicle. To get to your financial destination safely, you only need 3 distinct parts. Part 1. Your engine. This is your U.S. stock market ETF. If you are in the U.S., think of funds like Vanguard's VTI for the total stock market, or VOO for the S&P 500. This is the roaring powerhouse of your portfolio. The United States has the most dynamic, innovative economy in the world. When you buy this ETF, boom, you are instantly a part owner of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and hundreds of other giants. The beauty of this engine is that it is self-cleansing. If a massive company goes bankrupt tomorrow, it gets kicked out of the index, and the next rising star automatically takes its place. You don't have to lift a finger. This U.S. stock ETF is what drives the vast majority of your wealth. It forces your money to outrun inflation over the decades. But, as we all know, engines occasionally sputter and break down. In the decade from the year 2000 to 2009, the U.S. stock market basically went nowhere. It was a complete flatline. It is known in finance as the lost decade. Which brings us to part 2 of your vehicle, your insurance policy. This is your international stock ETF like VXUS. A lot of beginners skip this. They look at the recent amazing performance of the US and think, why do I need anything else? But financial history moves in cycles. During that lost decade when US stocks were gasping for air, emerging markets and international stocks were actually sprinting ahead. When you own an international ETF, you are buying into the growth of Europe, Asia, and emerging economies. If the U.S. economy slows down, faces regulatory hurdles, or hits a recession, your international stocks act like a giant airbag. It guarantees that you are not betting your entire financial life on just one single country. Now, before we get to the third part, we need to talk about a massive trap. If you live outside the United States, you need to stop what you're doing right now. Do not buy the exact US-based tickers I just mentioned, like VTI or VOO. This is where 90% of internet financial advice completely ignores you. If you live in the UK, Australia, Asia, or almost anywhere else, and you buy a US domiciled ETF, the US government will swoop in and legally snatch up to 30% of your dividends before that money ever hits your account. That is a massive, silent vacuum cleaner sucking up your compound interest. Instead, you need to use a legal loophole. You need to look for Irish domiciled ETFs, funds like VWRA or VUUAA. Because of tax treaties between Ireland and the US, buying these specific fund slices that dividend tax in half from 30% down to just 15%. Plus, international investors have a superpower, accumulating ETFs. When you buy an accumulating ETF, the fund automatically takes your dividends and feeds them right back into the fund for you, completely tax-free in many countries. You do absolutely nothing, and the compounding process happens on autopilot. If you are outside the US and want to build wealth fast, accumulating Irish domiciled ETFs are your best friends. All right, let's get back to the vehicle. We have the engine, and we have the airbag. What happens when the stock market inevitably crashes by 30 or 40%? You need part 3, The brakes. Your bond ETF, like BND. Let me be perfectly clear, nobody buys a car for the brakes. Bonds are boring. They do not have explosive growth, and they will actually drag down your overall portfolio returns over a 30-year period. So why on earth do we hold them? Because human psychology is fragile. Imagine you have $100,000 invested, and a global crisis hits. Your portfolio nosedives to $60,000 in a matter of weeks. Every news channel is screaming with flashing red graphics. Your deeply wired survival brain will scream at you to hit the panic button and sell everything. And if you sell at the bottom, you lock in that loss forever. Game over. Bonds act as your shock absorbers. When stocks crash, bonds usually hold their ground or even go up slightly. If your portfolio is buffered by bonds, it won't drop nearly as fast or as violently as a pure stock portfolio. Bonds keep your money stable enough so that you can actually sleep at night, and more importantly, they stop you from panic selling. So, you have the three parts. But knowing the three funds is completely useless if you get the percentages wrong. Asset allocation is where the real magic happens. If you're 25 years old and just starting your career, your greatest asset isn't your bank account. It's your ability to work for the next 40 years. You have decades to recover from a market crash. In this case, you can afford to drive like a maniac. You might go 90% stocks and 10% bonds. If the market drops 50% tomorrow, it's actually a blessing for you because you get to buy shares on massive clearance with your next paycheck. But what if you're 45 years old? You have a mortgage, 3 kids, and college tuition bills looming like a dark cloud. Your timeline is shrinking. You absolutely cannot afford the extreme roller coaster anymore. If the market drops 50%, your kid might not go to college. In this scenario, you need to tap the brakes. You need a conservative approach, maybe 60% stocks and 40% bonds. If you are totally lost on how to balance this, a great starting point is the classic 120 rule. Take the number 120 and subtract your current age. The result is the percentage of your portfolio that should be held in stocks. So, if you're 30 years old, 120 minus 30 is 90. You put 90% in stocks and the remaining 10% in bonds. It's a simple logical starting point that automatically adjusts your risk as you get older. Now, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle: automation. The biggest mistake you can make right now is spending the next 6 months trying to research the perfect allocation, waiting on the sidelines for the market to drop before you buy in. Waiting is going to cost you thousands of dollars in lost compound interest. You need to make this system completely ruthless and automated so it doesn't rely on your willpower. Here is the exact 3-step system. Step 1. Open an account with a low-cost, reputable broker. Step 2. Link your primary bank account. And Step 3. Turn on Auto Invest. Set it so that the day after your paycheck hits your bank account, the money is automatically transferred and invested into your 3 ETFs. This strategy is called dollar cost averaging. You are investing the exact same amount of money every single month, no matter what the market is doing. When the market is hitting all-time highs, your money buys fewer shares. But when the market is crashing and everyone is running around terrified, your system doesn't care. It acts like a cold, calculating robot buying up more shares at a massive discount. It completely removes human emotion from investing. Once this automated robot is running, you only have one job left for the rest of your investing life: rebalancing. Over the years, your portfolio will drift. If stocks have a massive run-up, your intended 80/20ths portfolio might drift to 90/10ths. Suddenly, you are driving way too fast for your own good. Once a year, maybe on your birthday or the first of the year, you log into your account for exactly 15 minutes, you look at which of your 3 funds has fallen behind its target percentage, and you just adjust your automatic purchases to buy more of the loser until the balance is restored. This simple, once-a-year habit naturally forces you to do what every legendary investor preaches: buy low and sell high. And that is it. Buy, hold, automate, and rebalance once a year. Do not obsess over the daily red and green charts. Do not listen to the financial doom scrolling on social media. You now understand exactly why this portfolio works. You have the engine for growth, the airbag for global stability, and the brakes to protect your own psychology. If this video brought you value today, please hit the subscribe button to help the channel grow and start building your financial future right now. I'm Tony, and I'll see you in the next video.